Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. I am Gideon Butler-Smith, and welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. Here at Bakerpedia, every Wednesday we share bits and pieces of the baking industry. Sometimes I forget what I'm saying, but today I'm going to be talking about yeast and blend it in with thermal profiling. There is an important process tool to ensure consistency of quality products, and that is thermal profiling your products. But part of that step is understanding what yeast is and what it is doing. So let me give you a super high level view of Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Say that 10 times really fast. Or baker's yeast. This is the strain bakers use across the world and that we'll be talking about today. Its primary function is to give bread its flavor, texture, and volume. But how does it do it? Well, the gluten that we develop at the mixer becomes like a balloon, ready to hold gas and inflate. And that's our first point. The yeast is a living organism and eats the sugars naturally found in the flour and any additional sugars in the dough. The eating occurs during a process called fermentation, which is preferably done in a warm and humid environment per the yeast request. Some of the byproducts of this fermentation are CO2 or carbon dioxide and acids. The CO2 fills those gluten balloons which rise the dough, and the acids give the bread its signature flavor. Fermentation occurs anytime yeast has available food to eat. The stages of fermentation used with bakers around the world are, I'll simplify, pre-ferments, bulk ferment, final proof, and oven spring. And that's my second point, is that fermentation is still occurring during oven spring. So yeast dies at 132 degrees Fahrenheit and 56 Celsius. For example, bun and bread usually go into the oven around 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit and out of the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 Celsius. The target time to kill the yeast and stop oven spring is around 50% of the bake time. This is where we transition to thermal profiling. How do we know when oven spring is stopping? Thermal profiling provides real-world data in the form of an S-curve, with time on the x-axis and temperature on the y-axis. BakeWatch is one of Bakerpedia's sponsors, who also are the leading technology service for thermal profiling. So just throwing that in there, go check them out, have them come to your bakery, and profile your oven. Using thermocouple sensors, bakers can understand how the dough is performing in each zone of their oven and establish guidelines for a quality product. So knowing about oven spring is just one stage in the oven. The other two stages, again simplified, are critical change and bake out. Critical change is between 132 degrees Fahrenheit and 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 56 to 93 Celsius. This is when starch gelatinizes, yeast dies, and proteins denature. This is when the dough becomes the sponge-like material we all know and love. The bakeout is the period where the dough reaches 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 93 Celsius, and all the way until it exits the oven. And this is while water is evaporating out. Home bakers, that magical 350 degrees Fahrenheit or until golden brown is just a great standard to give you a firm structure, a crust, and a chewy crumb inside. I'm thinking of cookies, biscuits, casseroles, and just about anything else you can bring to a potluck. So the oven temperature is dependent on what type of quality product you want. 350 degrees Fahrenheit is just kind of the gold standard just to ensure proper doneness. Brings me to my third point. Color, volume, exit temperature, and time are all good methods of measuring bake quality, but thermal profiling offers a high degree of accuracy and repeatable results. The thermal profile gives the baker an understanding of their oven. And sure, it's true that each oven is different, but the data that can be collected can also be duplicated across your company by manipulating oven zones and bake times to match yeast kill, arrival or critical change, and bake out times. Generally, oven spring, as I mentioned, is 50% of the bake time or less. The time to reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit, the critical change, is 80 to 90% of the bake time, and bake out is any time after the 200 degrees Fahrenheit is met, and that can be 10 to 20% of the bake time. Much of this content I was able to learn off of Baker Academy for free, and it's the resource to anyone who signs up and registers. Easy. Other resources on the platform offer exclusive seminars, papers, and teaching videos. You can become a member today for free at bakerpedia.com. And, why would you not, really? So, guys, I will see you again, and happy baking.